Okay, hello everybody. Today we are going to be talking about Chapter 8 in Brave New World, a really critical chapter, and I wanted to try to just elucidate a little bit more about what's happening in this chapter based on your comments in the discussion, to hopefully kind of push you a little bit further in your understanding. And later today I'll have question up for Chapter 9 so that you can start that process as well. So in Chapter 8, what you see here is this tremendous irony in the relationship that Linda has with her son John. And I want to start to look at some of that and how understanding that even 90 years later, a lot of the points that Huxley was making are still incredibly valid, and a few things I want to isolate. So, we look right up here at John, aka Oscar, that when John is reading, and that's a really big deal. Um, you know, it was the same with everything else he asked about. Linda never seemed to know. Linda, because of this very advanced technological society, knows her job, but she doesn't know anything. She doesn't know how to do anything other than her job. She knows how to work with this singular piece of technology, but she has no understanding of very simple basics, which some of you are going to talk about as well. And I'm going to get to some of those later comments. Now, Raza, right underneath this, clues into something that's very important to us. The very title of the book, Brave New World, comes from Shakespeare's play The Tempest. And that is a book that is very influential in understanding this. There's a lot of Shakespeare that gets quoted throughout this novel. The Tempest is an interesting one because of the fact that you have these people who are on this island because they're outsiders, they're outcasts, and yet there's a love story that develops within them. And, they have new people who come in to their world. And so the difference between, the reservation and the people in the New World state is very much also played out there. John can't find a place there, much the same way, that, the same thing happens in The Tempest, that, the daughter of the wizard, as we'll call him, as Prospero, she can't really find a place either. And we're going to move on to a couple of different things here. So, one of the things that Jordan talks about here, they talking about children, and when he asks simple things of where do they come from, I don't know. This is part of a larger idea, which is that they know their technology, but they don't know themselves, and they don't know humanity. It's part of the reason why she's so awful at being a mother. She doesn't know the simplest issue about child rearing, which is one of the very basic things we need to have as a society, is the ability to raise our own children. She can't do that because they can't deal with other people. They can deal with objects, they can deal with machines, but they can't deal with people. That's very funny to me, because aren't we dealing with the same thing today? We have people who know how to use their phones, they know how to Snapchat, they know how to supposedly knows how to multitask, but you can't ask them to do simple basic things on their own. Some of which we're going to even talk about a little bit. Again, Olivia's answers really kind of, echoes what we've seen in the last few. And there are one or two in particular here that I want to look at, and I'm sorry for this for a second. Sophia then echoes the same idea. He never seems to know anything. That seemed to have been the chorus that went throughout. I want to look specifically then at what Sam is talking about in here. People don't know how to do anything outside their comfort zone. I loved that term. And again, it's very similar to what we see today, is that people get very comfortable, and in fact, technology allows them to do that, allows them to find this little niche and then just kind of live there and stay there and never move on from there, because it's easy to kind of hide. And then I want to look at Olivia's point here, which is the simplest of things. John gets made fun of for having raggedy clothes. And, Linda can't do the simplest of things, of mending clothes. Little things like that, because they as a society are so wasteful from our point of view. Because their idea is, in order to keep economy moving, you got to constantly throw things out. You think about it, we're not all that dissimilar, in as much as, you have a phone. I'm recording this thing right now on what is effectively $1,000 mini computer. And I've had it for about a year and a half at this point. I'm already going, gee, how do I get rid of this thing? You know, we just constantly turning over material, and we don't know how to fix things. We just know how to use things and throw them away, which is then what kind of happens with people as well. And so those are some very, very serious points that get made. And then, you know, to Catherine's point here, you know, the fact that she talks about this word uncivilized here, not all that dissimilar from what we talked about in Heart of Darkness, whereas who's really the savage here? Who's really the uncivilized person? And I'm bringing up that word savage because it's going to come up later in the novel as well. So these are a lot of the ideas you should be thinking about as you go through this and as you start to come through chapter 9 as well, and the rest of the book, especially if you're trying to fine-tune your thesis, which is people's relationships with both their technology and as well as people, and how people don't seem to know anything. You know, this was something Huxley warned us about, and yet it's becoming more and more true every single day. Okay, so hopefully you got a little something out of this one. I look forward to seeing what you're going to say in chapter 9. Everybody have a great day.